welcome to a bit more retro Alan. So here we are, this is me back, I don't know, 14, 15 years ago. This was a pre-release version of Outrun 2. So this was about 6 months, probably even 9 months, maybe even a year before it came out in the arcade. A long time before it came out on the Xbox One as well. And the arcade machine was there on test, as they were testing an early version, of course. And this was at a private trade show event. Someone said to me, I'd like to film you playing it. Can you do it with the first person cam? Well, I'd had a couple of goes just testing it out, and the game really wasn't designed to be played much from the first person. A lot of the players were using third person because, quite frankly, it's an easier way to play it because you can see in front and behind your car. But I thought, nevertheless, I'll have a go, throw some skills into it and use the stand-up arcade cabinet. Obviously, I'm very tall. This is pretty old school now, the standing version with 1 foot for braking and accelerate. It's always a bit more sort of difficult to use, really. I guess in a way they think about, you know, driving a real car to an extent, but it always felt strange with an arcade title and the instant braking required. And we can see a few views around younger, slightly slimmer me. Yeah, it's funny when I look back at myself racing around. I loved Outrun 2 at the time. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant game. You will see me speak at the end of this video. Pretty inarticulate comparatively because I'd never done any TV. The internet as it is today did not exist. I mean, there was no YouTube or streaming or video, and the video on the internet was quite limited comparatively compared to today, so I'd had no experience on camera of any kind. And the chap here that was recording, I did some stuff at the time for other TV shows, Games Master, stuff like that, so I was under some pressure on camera just to record this, but in a way it kind of bodes well. It's sort of what I ended up doing actually on this YouTube channel, which is over the shoulder recording of me driving various different games. Goodness, I've been doing this for a long time. You still get called a noob in every video, you know, and it's funny when I look back and I think how many thousands of miles I've done. Every game handles completely differently, and when you play a new game, everyone expects you to know everything about that game or be an expert at it, whether it's an arcade game or it's a sim racing game. Straight away, you know, you should know every car and every aspect of the handling. And don't get me wrong, having played a lot of them, I pick up very quickly because I've got a lot to relate to. You know, often when someone says they don't like something, I'll ask them what do they relate that to, you know, and how do they relate that. I think that's always interesting because it's that kind of experience that then gives you a bigger picture. You know, I've played hundreds and hundreds of racing games over the last, you know, sort of 30 years. So at least I've got all that information. I can apply all that. Obviously, a lot of them are arcade games, but you apply all that information, bring it all together. This at the time was a really nice surprise. Visually, it looked nice. It was very smooth. It handled very well. It was very refined, and it was nice to see AM2 just doing something new. Because it was sort of the last sort of heyday of Sega. The Sega today, the Total War Sega, is nothing like the Sega that we had many years ago, and this was, sadly, among the last of that era. Bit of a shame, really, but it's still something that we hark back to enjoy. There's still so many greats that Sega produced I'd love to see upgraded and given HD re-releases and stuff like that. You know, they could reach into that arcade heritage and we could all enjoy it forever. As I'm concentrating on these sections. Actually, you know, I'm talking while just ignoring my play to an extent here, but I was doing really well. You know, some of these sections are really tough, and I look back now and think, well, I did all right there, because I can tell you right now, when you'd had almost no experience, and I think I'm doing the hard route all the way here, and completing the arcade machine. Probably not, actually. I think I go for an easier one right near the end somewhere. I've no idea. It's been years ago now. But some of these sections are quite technical, quite difficult. I'm going into Rome. Just trying to get the car and touch the barrier. Not happy with myself there, but it's the traffic sometimes gets in your way. So you know how you want to turn in, but then there's 3 cars there. You just can't do it. So you've got to try and figure out a way past them using all the road. Just the feeling of speed was incredible in that first person cam. But you can't see the back end of your car like you can in the third person view. Couple of corners here, wheel all the way round, keeping it together, and over the line to complete the game. So there we go. And let's see what I had to say very briefly.
Personal message to you, Zeke, and his team?
Wicked game. There you go. Can't.
A bit more in depth at all?
No, not now. Later. Let me write it. I'll write it all down later. Whee! That's it. I've got to talk after that. Whee! What's that all about? I just did not. My mind just went blank. I've just completed this arcade machine. I didn't know what to talk about or what to say. Now I can talk about rubbish for ages, but back then I was like, oh, don't know what to say. Let me write it. Let me write about it rather than possibly do a video. You know, it's funny looking back, and I had no experience of this stuff. But you know, we all had to start somewhere. You know, kids grow up today with mobile phones, video everywhere. We just didn't have no videos. We didn't even have any photographs. You know, back then you take a photo, you send it off to the photo agency, and you find a month later whether the photo was any good or not. You know, there wasn't even as many photos for that era. To have videos going way back is nice, and between this and the other Retro Alan stuff, you will see some more Retro Alan on the channel just to break it up a bit, and why not? I've been doing it a long time, and sometimes it's nice to look back on your opinions and what you said, whether it was right or whether it was wrong back in the day, what we were thinking of different games and why they were good or not. And you know, just I think looking back on how I came across with it. But that was a bit of Outrun 2. I hope you've enjoyed a bit of that, and there'll be more from me very soon.